Hello, my fellow Extraordinary Americans. I'm Cosmos Dar, and this is Extraordinary America. What is Extraordinary America about? You see, American identity is about freedom, the opportunity for a better life, and the pursuit of happiness. Welcome to Extraordinary America. For today's guest, we have Josh Lyons. Josh is a serial entrepreneur, educator, investor, and relationship development guy. He's the founder of 4 in 10 and Your Who's, as well as co-founder of CRE Marketing Group. He helps business owners who need systems for running and growing their businesses through software, search engine optimization, blogging, email marketing, social media marketing, tracking results, reporting, and creating cohesive marketing strategies across all relevant marketing platforms. Josh has built a life rooted in deep relationships, intentional choices, and lasting impact. He credits this to learning how to connect meaningfully with people who matter most. While many approach life with a transactional mindset, Josh chooses a relational path that brings fulfillment in family, business, faith, and community. Now he helps others do the same. As a mentor, trainer, and strategist, he equips leaders to become super connectors who build authentic relationships and align their lives with purpose. His work helps leaders create the kind of relationships and results they can be proud of. He's an extraordinary American, and I'm glad to have him on the show. Josh, are you there?
Absolutely, and thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Josh, thank you so much for coming to this podcast. Can you tell me, the audience, a little bit more about yourself, your background, and how you got started?
Yeah, absolutely. So that can go all over the place. But myself, my background, and how I got started, just on a kind of personal level, I married my wife Amanda. We got three little girls, almost 6 year old, and almost 3 year old, and almost 2 month old. And so lots of fun going on there. And then background, I was raised to be a pastor. I grew up in Columbus, Georgia, and I was competitively preaching at the age of 8. And a lot of people didn't know that that's a thing, competitively preaching. I was being taught how not to say during public speaking as an 8 year old, which is pretty interesting. And so I ended up going to Pensacola, Florida, where I live now, and I went to Bible college to become a pastor. But partway through, I felt very clearly that I'm supposed to not be a pastor. And I didn't know what I was supposed to do other than help business owners. And that's not very clear. And I didn't grow up in a business kind of world. My parents aren't entrepreneurs. I didn't know not really any entrepreneurs. And so it was really confusing, but it was also really clear help business owners. So I ended up graduating with a major in public relations, a minor in marketing, and a certification in sales, just kind of hitting the gambit across different businessy things.
Mhm.
And then got a job, got multiple jobs, got a mom pop shop marketing job, and I was the marketing budget. I was replacing the yellow pages. And then later, a resort management company hired me to be part of a marketing department. And that was a major difference from being part of a mom pop shop. And then eventually in 2015, I started my first company, which was a marketing agency, and still exists. I phased out of operations about 4 years ago, but that company still exists, but so do other companies because I don't do marketing. I own a marketing agency. What I do is I help business owners, and that's really, really broad what that means. But and there's different ways I do it. But that's kind of a high level overview on a background and where I'm at.
No, so Josh, this is a very interesting story because you went like you were on track to becoming a pastor, right? And then you just had like the change, and then you ended up going on a journey that led you to do businesses. And then not just that, you have like you're dealing with marketing and sales, but also what makes your angle like different is like the relationship aspect of it. Because like a lot of like businesses, like they deal with the transactional aspect of it, like it's all pure numbers and sales and all of that. Like, are you producing results or not? But your strategy is different. It's about developing relationships and connecting with the other person. Can you tell me and the audience a little more about why that strategy works versus the corporate America type of thing?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I heard someone say one time that people do business with you if they feel like you understand them and they feel like you can help them. And they'll do business with you they will try to do business with you. I've had people ask me, they say, Josh, I want to pay you money. Is there anything I can pay you money for? Because you get me. And my answer is no for them usually because I don't have anything that they need. But I can refer them to other people, but it works because it's authentic. It works because it's genuine. It works because it has to do with caring. And so many business professionals or business owners, they are indifferent. So it's been said that the opposite of love is indifference. It's not anger, it's not fear, it's not hate, because if you have anger, fear, and hate, oftentimes that's attached to some kind of love. That's why something hurts. But if you're cut off, if you mean nothing to me, then that's the opposite of love. And most business owners, they end up getting into business oftentimes because they need to pay some bills. And they might be good at what they do, but being good at what you do doesn't mean you love the people that you're serving. And um, when someone is going to build a business and they do it out of love for the people they care for, the quality of work they do skyrockets because it's out of love. It's not out of let me just give them something. They actually care about them. And when a business owner loves the people they serve, then they want to make sure they provide them the best other resources. So if I'm in pest control and I provide the best pest control, I'm also looking at the lawn care. Well, I want to make sure they got good lawn care people. And then I'm not just in lawn care. I might see that they're going to sell their home. I want to make sure they've got the best realtor and the best whatever else they need. And so to holistically take care of someone out of love means you're really going to need to know a lot more than just what you do. You need to know the other people who do great work. And so that's just loving somebody really makes a difference. But if you don't love someone, then you often treat them as a transaction. I can say, go networking, find some people to pay us some money, and then you can do that. Are you going to find somebody? Maybe, maybe not. Are people going to run away from you because you're chasing them with business cards? Yeah, probably. Are they going to want to sit down with you? Probably not. But if you can build a relationship with someone, if you go networking, for example, and you build a relationship, and you actually care about them, and they feel like you understand them and you can help them, the transaction will come. So I often say that the enemy of the relationship is the transaction. You can chase transactions and never get relationships. But you can get relationships and you can get transactions when appropriate, and they will often lead to other relationships and other transactions if you're not chasing the transaction. So
So, Josh, what you're talking about is a very like relatively new and type of way of doing business, at least like in America. For the most part, whenever people thought about business, they're thinking about corporate America or big corporations and all of that stuff. So, what do you think is like the damage, ultimate like long term damage that that type of mentality has on like just like the social and cultural state of a nation, and how can this type of business that you are proposing make things better?
yeah, well, what happens is there's a lack of trust, oftentimes in an entire industry. So again, with like lawn care or home services, I just had a conversation last week with someone who does renovations, and they were talking about how their industry is so full of people, contractors and subcontractors who they will charge the homeowner to do some work, and then they don't show up, they don't deliver, they just take the money and go, essentially, many times. Or if they do the work, they don't do it well, they don't do it on time, just so much frustration. And so what happens is when people treat buyers that way, then there's now this reputation that, oh my goodness, everybody in the home services industry are just a bunch of cheats. And
Hmm.
that's the problem. Why? Because there are a lot of people who do approach business transactionally. They don't deliver on what they say they will. And if they make a mistake, they don't own up to the mistake because they don't care. So many, I'm not saying everybody, but so many people. are that way. And so it causes lack of trust within various industries. Also, what happens is on a personal level, if I'm if I get into business and I'm going to be selling at people, I need quotas. Maybe they're quotas. I need to hit these numbers. Then what'll happen is I will go to my relationships, my mom, my dad, my siblings, my friends, and I say, "Hey, I got this great thing. You should totally use this because, if you really care about, taking care of yourself, you should totally get this. And I care about you, therefore you should use this." But so many times what happens is they end up going to their existing relationships, but it smells wrong. It doesn't feel right. And what many times happens, well, especially in high pressure sales type jobs, what'll happen is the existing relationship ends up kind of getting broken because they say, okay, well, I recognize you're trying to sell this thing at me, and yeah, I'll help you out. I'll go ahead and be a buyer, and I'll buy this thing. But then the sanctity of the relationship was exchanged for a transaction. And then I know multiple people where they wish they hadn't done that. They wish they hadn't pushed sales at friends and family, but they did, and now their relationships feel weird and they're kind of lacking. And that's just because it was a transaction as opposed to a relationship. And it could have been, hey, I really care about you. And would this thing make sense? I don't know. I don't want to push you. You tell me. But instead, it didn't go that way. It was pushed. So, yeah.
So Josh, like what you're describing here is like more like an others focused type of business, right? A guide. And like I know that you're like a relationship development guide and you're a super connector. So like from your perspective, you see on a national level, there's like a more like a narcissistic work culture that has been given the vibe in like corporate America and everything. So from your perspective, how do you develop proper relationships? Like what is the means of actually doing that? Because a lot of people they want to connect with other people in businesses, but they it just comes off the wrong way. Or they don't really know how to do it.
Yeah. Right. All right. I love that question. So, think about yourself. And I'm saying that to you, but I'm saying that to anyone who's listening to this right now, in the future. What do you care about? What's your passion? What do you love? Like if you could think about the world, a better world, finish the sentence. I believe in a world where and then put in whoever it is you care about. So for me, I care about entrepreneurs. That's who I care about. I might care about a lot of people, but that's one big community.
Mhm.
So I believe in a world where every entrepreneur, what? All right, finish that sentence. So I believe in a world where who is it that you care about, and what do they need? So I believe in a world where every entrepreneur loves with excellence. Every entrepreneur should love with excellence. And it's not just their buyers, but it's their family. Like, what about the entrepreneur who works 60, 80 hours a week and they do that for decades? And then they look back on their life and they say, I miss my kids' relationships and my kids don't even know me and I don't know them. Do they love their kids? Yes. Do they know their kids? No. Do their kids know them? No. Is that a relationship that they want to have, like a healthy one? Yes. But you can't go back in time. So for every entrepreneur and leader to love with excellence, that means not just the buyers, but also family members, their faith, God, whoever it is, the relationships that matter most to them, they should be able to love with excellence. So that's an example for me. That's my vision. And so if I say I believe in a world where, just change it and say my vision is for every leader to love with excellence. And so if if in the business world, corporations, they could be employees, team members, they could be 1099 type salespeople, they can be realtors. Ask themselves, who do they care about? What is their answer? I believe in a world or a community where every homeowner, I believe in a world where every investor, I believe in a world where every florist, I mean, it could be anything. So I believe in a world where, what do you care about? And then it goes to your mission. The mission is okay. So if that's what you believe, if that's a world you want to see, and you want to create, then what must you do to make that vision become a reality? So for me, if I believe in a world where my vision is for every leader to love with excellence, what's my mission? What am I going to do about it? Well, I believe that what needs to happen is, well, what I do, my mission is to standardize the process for connecting leaders. Because every leader has a way to help another leader, but they don't know who to go to. And do I go to this person or this person or this person, or how much do I work with that person, or and they don't know how to do that. So if there was a standardized approach to connecting with the right people, goodness gracious, what would that do? It'd be incredible. And the right people being other people who care, they love, they're relational. I mean, of course. And so for those who are listening to this and they want to be relational, in order to be relational and do a great job, they need to know who they care about. Figure out who you care about. Then figure out what you're going to do to help those people. How are we going to help them? Then figure out who are the other people who are also helping them. So you, for example, you have this podcast that you do to help share education and to help other people who are leaders, who are business owners, be able to be better stewards of their wealth,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And so I need to know you, and I need to help you, and I need to send people to you and share light and exposure for you. Who else? And I just keep making a list. And so for those who really care about focusing on relationships, figure out the relationships you care about, figure out the people who also care about those relationships, build relationships, get to know them, talk to them, figure out how you can help them and how they can help you. And then that will make a massive, massive impact. It's not just transactional, it's relational.
Well, Josh, what you said was like really profound and it's so relevant in today's world. But like from your perspective, like from like your interactions with a lot of business owners, what do you think is the biggest challenge you think they're facing when it comes to actually developing authentic relationships, as you're suggesting?
Oftentimes they work in a silo and they don't they don't get out there. So many times uh so many times they'll do what they do. Okay, we'll talk about marketing, sales, legal. Okay. If you're a business owner, chances are you need to invest in marketing. If you're a business owner, chances are you need to be good at sales. If you're a business owner, chances are you need to have legal protection and stuff in place. And I could keep going, so many, so on and on forth. But what if I'm a business coach? If I'm a business coach, am I taking the time to actually find marketing professionals that do great work? Am I taking time to find sales coaches who do great work? Am I taking time to find legal people who can provide excellent work? And most of the time, from experience, just observations, they don't take that time. They might say, "I'm a business coach, so where's a client? Client, come find me and let me help you." And then they'll provide great counsel. That's great, but it's siloed. It's just what they know within their own realm of knowledge and expertise, and they don't know other people who are related, and they don't take the time to do that. And so if they were to take the time to get to know someone else who's a specialist in marketing, then they're going to be an even better coach because they're going to learn more about marketing. And the same thing for sales, which is fantastic. A business coach should definitely be able to help give guidance on sales. And they don't have to be a sales coach, but they know a sales coach. That's fantastic. And legal, so on and so forth. And so one of the biggest things is they just live in silos and they don't pay attention to that. And if they do pay attention to that, here's the other thing that happens. Let's say I'm the business coach, and I'm not a business coach, but just say I am. If I'm a business coach and I find a marketing person, then what happens is more often than not, I'm going to sit down with that marketing person. We're going to have a one-to-one, a sit-down conversation over coffee, and I'm going to try to sell them on my coaching services and try to convince them to either use me or refer me. That's how it goes. That's not how I'm saying it should go, but that's how it goes. So I sell at them for half an hour, and then they sell at me for half an hour. And then at the end of that meeting, we say, okay, well, man, that was great to meet you. Man, I appreciate what you're doing. And, I definitely have to keep you in mind. And if I come across someone who needs you, yeah, definitely, yeah, definitely keep you in mind. And they say the exact same thing. And you say, all right, man, that's great. All right, have a good one. All right, bye. And then you leave. What happens? Nothing. Nothing happens. Why? Because the whole thing was based on a transactional mindset. I sell at you, you sell at me. Do I win? Nope. Do you win? No, you didn't win. And then you go on. And so that's completely the opposite of a relationship. That's a transaction. And that's the other thing. Either people are siloed or they do go out, but they actually don't know how to not do what I just described. They don't know how to go to a first time meeting and leave that meeting saying, boy, that was a success. Instead, they say, was that a success, or will it be a success, or when will it pan out? Which is a problem. It's a waste of time.
So Josh, like what you're saying is pretty like it's really radical and different to a lot of people because they've been taught that business is all about profits, 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 and results, results, results. So what you're saying, like it seems like counterintuitive to a lot, but like ultimately it ends up giving you more results in the long term.
Yeah, my daughter, this is fun. So I said that my daughter, she's almost 6, my oldest. Her name is Adeline. And I'm very proud of her. If you ask her, if you say, Adeline, what's the what's the reason for work? Why do people work? She will tell you that the reason to work is to love people. Now, she also knows that if you work, you need to make money. And if you make more money, you can help more people. You can love more people. But she won't tell you. Most people will say the reason to work is to make money. Well, that's a kind of a pointless existence. For what? But if the purpose of work is to love others and love them well, you will make money. You need to make money. And you will be able to also love even better. So, yeah.
No, I mean like a lot of people they get so focused on like making the money that they forget ultimately forget what the purpose of life is, which is to connect with other people and like give value and serve others. And basically, when you do that and you give value, automatically the money comes. But like the world that we live in tends to be more cutthroat, or like we were brought up to understand the world in such a way. And so there's the worldview that you're talking about, and then there's the worldview that was portrayed by the media and a lot of other people, especially like when you see the movies around Wall Street and they show you how it's done. It's like such a radical, like what we're talking about right now is so different from what people see in those industries.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. And there's so many reasons for that. And there's so many, it's like, it's culture. What shapes culture? There's a ton of things that shape culture. But you're right, that what you're describing, that's the culture that we live in. So how can we be a better culture? How can we be a loving culture? How can we be a caring, a relational culture? And that takes intentionality because we're not wired that way. Well, we are actually wired that way, but we don't grow up in a culture that is conducive for that.
Yeah, because like right now, like a lot of people, like they see the culture and they're like, oh, business people who are rich, they're like greedy or anything. Or like they see the stories of the healthcare CEO and what happened. But like that's like what is portrayed in the media. Like they show these some cases which are true, but then there's a different approach of businesses. Like a lot of businesses are there which is more empathy based and like they're more others focused, and that's something that has to be showcased more in our culture.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree.
So, Josh, there's one thing I had to ask you, and it's regarding social media, right? Because I know you're into developing relationships and super connecting, and then a lot of people have claimed that social media has basically revolutionized the way that we do business. But there's also other people that are saying that it has also isolated people, and they people have stopped developing like connections, like they've lost the essence of connecting on a true deeper level. So, from your perspective, how do you see the social media phenomena that has taken over in the 21st century, especially connected to business?
Yeah, that's a fun question. So, yes, I own a digital marketing agency. Social media is not a service that we do a lot with, and that's definitely not one of our core offerings. One of the reasons for that is because it's often challenging to prove return on investment with social media. At least back when I was getting started with my agency, it was more challenging than it is now. And I can prove return on investment with search engine optimization. I can prove return on investment with paid ads. I can prove ROI with email marketing, things like that. But social media, it's far more challenging. So we didn't really get into that. And I knew if I was going to be really good at social media, I needed to focus a lot of energy myself on it. And I didn't have the bandwidth to do that. So I made the decision not to use social media. So I have not used social media for so long, barely. I barely look at it. And it's been that way since about 2010, I think, something like that. Now,
Wow.
having said that, being someone who's not part of social media, not really, it's not an active part of my life. What happened is, yeah, my relationships are in person, in real life kind of relationships, lots of those, and not social media. However, this year, as of January, I have decided to embrace LinkedIn, and I have been using LinkedIn. I've been on LinkedIn. I just never really put anything, and now I actively create content, and put it on LinkedIn. So looking at it from only a few 3 4 months of experience, how does that play into my relationships? And is it I can't speak from experience of it messing me up with relationships. I understand that some people get addicted to it or something like that, and they fail to pay attention to humans, like real people. I have people complain to me. I have people complain to me. They say, Josh, the way you can sit down and have a meeting over coffee and look someone in the eyes and you can ask them intelligent questions, they'll say that's missing in today's culture. Like the younger generations, I'm 39, but the younger individuals, people complain that they don't do that. Um, so I know that there's a problem there, but at the same time, when I do social media and I share something, people engage on my content. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that they're seeing it. I appreciate that they're saying thank you, even if it's just a like. They're saying thank you, and I appreciate that. And the relationship that I have, I'm thinking of a guy named Mike and another guy named Neil, and another guy named Jay. Like I can keep doing that. They are very good about engaging, and those are real life relationships, but being reinforced with very quick social interactions. And so I appreciate that. I like that. And so I don't think that's hurting, but I think it just goes to how you're approaching your use of social media. And that's something that some people do well and some people don't do well.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, it's basically like on one hand, social media has connected us, but I feel like people like they spend so much time on social media that they don't do enough in-person connection. So that's why I was asking because I just find it fascinating, like how some with this one technology can simultaneously connect the world closer, but at the same time make people go further away from each other in their actual family life or friends life. Because I remember when I was small, like when the internet was not there in the first decade of my life, like we would actually go and play outside, and we would actually have to connect and make friends with people and then understand them, right? And then as cell phones came about and everything, like people just it's one of those weird things like where you could actually go on a date or you could actually go hang out with friends in today's world, and half of them will be on their phones. And
Yeah,
so
I was
it,
at I was at Jason's Deli the other day, a salad like buffet, not buffet, but I was at this restaurant and I was looking around, I was scanning the room. It was afternoon. Not, it wasn't busy time. And there were these older individuals. Like they're older. And they're sitting at a little table and they're both looking at their phones and scrolling up and down their phones. I'm thinking, what? That's supposed to be the youngsters, right? The youngsters, not the. I mean, these are. I'm saying older. I'm not going to say an age, but I mean they're like good night. Here they are, and then I look over there, and there are middle aged and they're doing the same thing. And like, it's not just kids, it's everybody is connected. And sometimes my wife and I, when we're out and about, we'll be having a conversation and she'll ask me a question. And I'm like, that's a really good question. I don't know. And so I'll pull out my phone because I want to answer that question. It's part of the conversation. She asked me something, and maybe I want to chat GPT it or something like that, because it's being used in the conversation. But I think anyone who's looking at me is thinking I'm just disconnected and I'm looking at my phone. But in reality, I'm not disconnected. I'm using my phone for this engaging conversation. But but that's not the same thing as being on social media and being completely disconnected. So I think there are perceptions that people are disconnected when maybe they're not disconnected. I think there are times when people are very definitely disconnected. And I can't judge those older individuals. Maybe they were playing a word game or something with each other. I'm not sure, but yeah, you're right. It's an interesting world.
No, I mean, totally. And Josh, I was actually curious because, American identity is about the pursuit of happiness, right? And like everything that we do is about achieving the American dream and pursuing happiness. So, from your perspective, how important is relationships like building, like not just in building social life? How important it is towards attaining that end, like with regards to gaining a certain level of happiness?
Yeah. So let's if you had $1 billion and you had all the time in the world. People say the most valuable, some people feel like the most valuable resource is money. Lots of people will think that if they haven't heard about time. Other people say, oh, time is the most valuable resource. So, what if I gave you $1 billion and then I gave you all the time in the world, but you were on a desert island, just you? How happy would you be?
You can't do anything with that money. So how would you be happy, you know?
Yeah. So, okay, I could let you play with, I could let you have certain hobbies and interests, but at the end of the day, when you look back on your life, you're going to most likely think about what you did with other people, the relationships in your life. And whether you reach the end of your life with money, but you don't have relationships, or you reach the end of your life without money, but you have amazing relationships, I would rather be the person with amazing relationships and not much money than the person with tons of money and lack of relationships. And so it's vital. And the best time to work on it is now. Just like money, the best time to invest is, yeah, yesterday, right? But the other best time to invest is now. It's the same thing with relationships. And really, the question, a great question to ask is, are you investing in the relationships that matter most to you? And how much are you investing in your time? How much time are you investing in those relationships? Because if you're not, then do they really matter? And if they do, maybe a change should be made.
So one of the things, the themes I noticed in our conversation, right, is that a lot of people like they end up chasing success, but the ultimate irony is like success chases those that have good relationships and then basically develop on from the abundance of the relationships and like serving others like they just naturally become successful. It's like the ultimate like paradox, right? Like you want this thing, but the way to get it is something that you supposedly are think is like a nuisance, but then when you end up doing it, it feels good, and then you get everything that you want anyways. It's something that I realized.
Yeah, yeah. Do a really good job at taking care of the relationships you care most about, and you'll thrive so much more than if you just chase success. Because chasing success, what does that even mean? I mean, hopefully it has to do with relationships. Hopefully that's what it is.
I mean, today's world, like a lot of people think it's just like becoming like having the mansions, having the cars, becoming immensely successful and important and relevant, like a kind of like a celebrity. I would say like a lot of people think that success is being a celebrity.
And how many celebrities commit suicide or are depressed because they lack something?
Isn't that crazy? Like how the people that the society worships and today's society, like they are not happy. Like it's like one of those like what is going on, right? But at the same time, to me it makes sense. But for a lot of people, like they want to be like these people, but you see that they're on drugs and they're just not happy. Yeah.
Yeah, someone. So I'm not. I don't follow sports. I don't really. That's not my world. And football is huge, especially in the southeast. And so I was asking a friend one day. I was like, just really transparently, authentically, can you help me understand why are people so into football? Like, please, like, I don't get it because I'm not into it. I don't care about it. But some people are really diehard football fans. I'm not sure. Are you a diehard football fan?
No, I'm actually kind of like you. I'm actually surprised you're not into football because I just assume like most people are, you know?
Yeah, right. I live in Florida, therefore I must be. I'm American. So right, but no, you're right. So I asked him, and he told me something that was super interesting. He said, "Well, I don't know if it's right, but it sounds good." He said, "Well, think about the Colosseum in like Rome, ancient Rome, and the people who would fight in the arena, they were like gods. Like if they win, like the winners, like you got the gladiators who were the champions, and they're like gods of the time, and it gave people something to look for and tangible, and it's like this is success and this is great." And he was like, we don't have American, gladiators and coliseums here, but the modern day version of a gladiator is an athlete, and they have reached a pinnacle of success to be admired and appreciated, and almost like an envy of, man, I wish I could be like that. And so if football players are American day gods, but they're not the only ones. Who are the other gods? Well, celebrity, any kind of celebrity. Celebrities are gods, and so people. I think that's part of the whole cultural thing and what you're talking about. And when he said that, I was like, that makes a lot of sense. People view them as like a god in a way, and they appreciate that, and they will never do it themselves, but in a way, they aspire to be close to that. So,
I think the modern day gladiators would be considered the WWE type stars. You know, like the
yeah,
Undertaker, Kane. Um,
yeah, yeah.
I remember growing up, and I mean, right now I know it's all staged, but back then when I was a kid, I thought it was all real. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
that. I'd say that that's the modern day version of the Colosseum because you
Hmm.
have the stadiums, people are just there's like all this entertainment, the drama, and then the fights, and people are just into that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. But then if you're so focused watching it or even playing the video games, being it, that's is it real?
It's bread and circuses, right? In Rome, they called it the bread and circus. You got to keep the mob happy, and
Yeah.
so like it's part of the ruler's way of controlling the masses.
Yes. And control. That word right there, controlling the masses. The masses are just going with the flow. They aren't thinking. They don't know what they want. They're not pursuing anything for themselves. They're just enjoying the entertainment that's being provided to them. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that conversation goes down a deep rabbit hole, right? Because it's just like one of those things of like how the Roman Empire, like how it rose and how it ultimately fell, and it's one of those interesting things. But Josh, on a different note, I wanted to ask you about your company. You have you have this company 4 and 10, and also your Who. Can you tell me and the audience a little bit more about how you got this start, both these companies started and what they're about?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate the ask. So, Your Who's is a digital marketing agency. Why? Well, go way back. I'm not supposed to be a pastor. I'm supposed to help business owners. If a business owner is going to help people, it needs to be able to get its message out there. How do you do that? Marketing. So that was a very logical step. So I created a marketing agency, but I really care about the entrepreneur. And most entrepreneurs, did you know that 86% of all business owners in the US are solopreneurs?
No, I had no idea.
Did you know that the average solopreneur makes 47,000 in annual gross revenue.
No.
That's like not very good. That's not, and that's average. That's not a startup. That's average. And so if they're going to do marketing and they're going to put about 10% of their gross revenue into marketing, which is a general rule of thumb budget, it depends, but 10%, that means they got $4,700 for the year. And that's like less than $500 a month. Where are they going to go for quality marketing at that kind of a price? They're not going to have a whole lot of really good options and they're not going to get much traction. And so that was a really big pain point that I cared about. And that my agency was specifically how do we help small business owners in a cost effective way that will help them get actual traction. And so we got really good at that. And we got to the point that 80% of our clients weren't even our clients. There were other marketing companies that were outsourcing our work. They would outsource to us. And so we got to a point last year where we stopped taking clients. We don't take clients now. We will not take a client. We
Wow.
only do fulfillment. So anyone who does marketing and they don't want to do the work, or they want to add a service that we have that they don't have, man, that's perfect. Just outsource the work to us. We do the work. We're happy. We don't have to go finding clients. We don't have to do the sales. We don't have to nurture the client. And so it's a white label kind of an approach. So, but that's the first business, and it helps with marketing problems. But I realized in 2020, I fired my biggest client, and I fired them because they were going against my core values. One of my core values, in case you couldn't guess, is relationships. Another one is health, and they were going. I had to let them go because they were hurting the relationship, and stress is not healthy. And so, violation of health, it wasn't good. We had to let them go. And I realized, though, working with that client and others, that sometimes the clients aren't very good at business, and problems that they have isn't related to marketing, but it's due to other things. Maybe they don't know what their vision, their mission, their core values are. Maybe they don't know what they sell and how to communicate it clearly. Maybe they don't have a strategic plan. Maybe they don't have goals and they don't know what a SMART goal is. And tons of people don't know what a SMART goal is. And if you're listening to this and you don't know what a SMART goal is, you should look it up, and make sure you have SMART goals for your business. And so there are all these things that are fundamental and foundational for businesses, but there wasn't a clear solution to helping my clients with these things. So I decided that what I needed to do was I needed to build a
Mhm.
software where anyone can log in and they can create SMART goals and accountability and their deliverables and their standard operating procedures can be documented and stored, and even building a website, like a website not that just looks good, but is designed for conversions. Because most websites, hopefully they look good, but they're not getting conversions, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
So I built a software to essentially function not as a marketing outreach tool, not a CRM, but to function as the infrastructure for a business, so they can manage that. So that's that was my second company. So first is a marketing, then it's 4 and 10. 4 and 10. 4 in 10 businesses are profitable. 6 in 10 businesses are not. So the vision for 4 and 10 is to help at least 3,217,501 businesses become profitable by 2040. So help that many businesses, and then the statistic changes. We can then say the majority of all businesses in the US are profitable
Wow.
because of 4 and 10. So we make our name obsolete by 2040. So that's the vision for 4 and 10.
That is amazing. That-
It's a lot of work. I appreciate it.
No, I hope all the success, kids. This is actually a very good goal, and it'll help like so many businesses, and it'll just create a natural ripple effect.
Yeah. Can I tell you what the challenge I've faced is?
Yeah.
Right. Here's the challenge. I built a software. There isn't a software like that. That's why I built it. And people would subscribe to the software, so they have access to all these great resources. But it didn't help them. And the reason it didn't help them is because having the platform is one thing, knowing how to build a business is another thing. And if you have, I mean, you give me a football, that doesn't mean I know how to throw it, catch it, or play the game. I have to have the knowledge, I have to have the training. And now
Yeah.
if you give me the football and the training, man, I'm good. But I need both. And so the challenge was, yeah, I got a software, it's great. And if you know that kind of stuff, you'll be fantastic. But most entrepreneurs don't. They lack the training. And so that actually launched training. So now I provide training. Pretty much the only service that I personally provide these days. I mean, I have a marketing agency. I have people who run that and do that. I have a software, but it's just a bunch of code. And I have a team and I'll direct them, but I don't do anything with that. But training is what I do. It's like the only thing I do. And so now what we do is we I provide a $3,000 training on how to build a business. And it's what's your purpose, your vision, your mission, your core values, who's your ideal buyer, what do you sell, what makes you different, how do you make a website designed for conversions, how do you make a strategic plan, and mindset. And that those are the main topics. It's $3,000, but it's only for people who are on 4 and 10 subscribed. They must be on 4 and 10. And two, if they're on 4 and 10, that $3,000 training is complimentary. There is no cost. And so that makes it so that it overcomes the hurdle. And that's been that was like an aha kind of I'm kicking myself for not doing it way sooner. But that's definitely a big thing as well.
That's amazing, Josh. And Josh, how can our audience connect with you and get to know more about you and your work and everything they do? And if they needed advice regarding anything, like how would they reach out?
So there's LinkedIn. They can look me up, Josh Lyons, but also my website. My website's the best way to learn about me, know what I'm doing. There's more than what I shared, just from today. So if they go to whoisjoshlyons.com, it's my name. Who is Josh Lyons? Lyons. Whoisjoshlyons.com, and that explains what I do, why I do it, how I do it. I got a media kit in there. I've got even information on joint ventures. Like if anyone wants to do a joint venture, that's where they would go to figure out what I'm looking for these days. And so that's the best way to do it.
Josh, that is amazing. And I'm so grateful that you came to this podcast and shared your knowledge and wisdom about relationship based businesses versus transactional, because this is something that we need to know in order to develop true fulfillment and to actually make profits in the long term compared to what the culture puts us there. And I do hope that you take the time to come back to the show at a later time.
Absolutely. And thank you again. I really appreciate it. I appreciate what you're doing. And I just actually met someone yesterday who I was thinking should be on the show. So I'll make introductions for you as well. I really appreciate what you're doing. So thank you for what you do to help business owners, entrepreneurs, and those who want to be good stewards of their wealth. I
No,
appreciate it.
I appreciate it, Josh, and thank you so much for that. And I want to conclude this episode by letting my fellow extraordinary Americans know that, hey, look, there's an extraordinary within each and every one of us, and it's our duty to awaken it and unleash it. Until next time, bye for now. Hey, everyone. Thank you for watching Extraordinary America. If you like what you see, please do subscribe to our podcast and share it with others. Remember that the best investment that you can make in your lifetime is in your own financial education, for it is knowledge that truly sets us free. Also, remember that inflation is diluting your purchasing power, which in turn increases financial bondage. The practical thing to do is to protect the loss of your purchasing power and invest in precious metals or the right cryptocurrencies. Lastly, never forget that you are an extraordinary American. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.